Good evening, Super League fans, and welcome to the 25th round of this season. I want to say the inaugural season, but the first season under the under the current leadership. Just two games left to go, and with us tonight in the studio we have Ryan, at least for the time being. Good evening, Ryan.
Good evening, Martin. Good evening, Super League. Hope everyone's well.
I understand you're multitasking at the moment.
I do have, I've got a baby strapped to my chest, so we'll see how long this lasts before she starts crying. Then,
Well, we'll see. We'll see how she responds to the Swindon and Valen game, which is coming up first, obviously. I can see that Andreas and Fife are already very active in the chat. Guys, given the recent technical issues that I've had, please let me know if the picture drops or if the sound drops or anything. It says that the stream is in excellent condition and it looks as if it's working, but I'm gonna have to rely on you and your feedback. So please, any problems, just give me a shout. Um, okay, that's good. Changing the router apparently helped. Let's have a look at the quick look at last weekend's result, or results rather. Ryan, if we can start with you, I think you mentioned in the blog that you'd made a mistake, or what do you think went wrong in that Dragons game?
well, I don't know if you're aware. I don't really post too much about my home saves, but I'm playing an updated version of the game where all the tactics are very different and all the AIs are different. So I was playing a tactic which has been quite successful on there, and I thought let's just give it a shot in Super League. I thought I'm at home to Dragons, probably deluded in myself and thinking that it should be a little bit of a straightforward game. And yeah, got found out really. So I kind of got to hold your hands up and say that yeah, got the tactics wrong. What fair play to Jamie. I don't think yeah, I don't think I can take anything away from him, but he took advantage of my poor tactical setup, and yeah, they deserved it.
Yeah, and something has happened with Mark Viduka. I mean, I think that's the last two games he's scored in. Him and Shearer seems to be a partnership, so that's something that perhaps Jamie would have hoped that he discovered earlier on this season, especially considering that he got Shearer from you, didn't he?
He did indeed. They're two good players. For whatever reason, I think he struggled with Montella earlier in the season. So there was something going wrong where he was getting loads out of his AMC, Robbie Keane, but not too much out of his strikers. And I think they were generally touching the ball about 5 or 6 times in a game, and coming out with sixes and fives. And I think there was one where Viduka got a four, and I
Mm,
think he every time he touched the ball, he lost it.
yeah,
But yeah, he looked like he's turned a corner now in whatever he's doing. So
yeah. I
and
mean,
he's making a late run for the playoffs, which is a bit of
which is a
exciting
surprise.
thing. Yeah, very surprising because I think a lot of us had written him off.
Yeah, didn't see that one coming. Any other results from last week that we can just run through quickly? I mean, Astra I think was a fairly comfortable and not particularly surprising win at home to Ardsley. B-Tech got that draw with Valen United. Good news for you considering your result that the Swedes dropped points as well. Um,
Yeah,
we'll get back to how you
surprising.
see it because the Valen's obviously the first game up, so we'll get back to Valen in a minute. But a big surprise there. Chudley beating Midlothian, kind of putting a bit of a dent in Ian's hopes for a Scottish team in the playoffs. What else did we have? We had that draw where Hooligans I think came from behind to draw with
Yeah,
Hornets.
Salah last minute equaliser.
That was it. And then Panathinaikos, obviously the guys. Palmer got his cue next to the name of the club for the first time in his career. But Georgetown just a little bit too strong for them on the night, which doesn't bode well for their playoff for their playoff chances. You would have suggested, but
Well, that's it now for Panathinaikos, isn't it? He's got his Q next to his name now. He's going to retire all half his team on holiday already. So
well, we'll see. He's got I forget who he's got tonight, but someone. Do 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 do. Oh, he's away to Ardsley. That's right. So he does. Yeah, I mean, maybe if they've retired and Ardsley strikers also not retired for the season, but if they've retired to the beach, then an Ardsley strikers are fine on all cylinders, and that could be a difficult one as well. And then we of course had that Swindon Devils 3-0 victory against the Sloths. Um,
9-9.
a couple of red cards for Sloths. There's not much they could do in that one, was there? Really?
No, yeah, you're against 9 men, but two of the goals came when he was against 10 men. Um, Sloths have just taken a bit of a wrong turn somewhere in the last few weeks, and Swindon have started coming good. I think it was the perfect time for Fifey to play him. He'll be obviously. I think he has already said he was ecstatic with that result, and now he's confident, maybe delusional, but he's confident he's going to hunt them down and not finish bottom.
Yeah, well, there is a chance of that. So we'll have a look at a quick look at the we'll have a quick look at the table. I mean, you can go equal on points with him tonight if he gets that win, and if Sloss fail to beat Hoddesdon at home, or sorry, if they lose to Hoddesdon at home, then they'll go equal on points, and then it's obviously down to the last round. BTEC down there as well, Ardsley. So for BTEC and Ardsley, that's I mean that there's nothing left for those guys to play for other than to try and get a couple of points on the board and end the season on a high, or what would you think if you're in Ian or in Hodges' shoes here? What do you make of it? You can't really fit well you could, but you're probably not going to finish last, and you're definitely not going to get make the playoffs.
No,
It's just
you're experimenting, aren't you? I think. I think you've got two strong squads there who've had a disappointing season, and you're trying to experiment and get a team right so you're not in this position again next time round.
mm,
So if it was me, I'm trying different tactics, I'm trying different plays in different positions, different player instructions, things that just little tweaks which they might think might turn those. I mean, both teams have had dreadful away form, so it's both teams trying to do little things to the tactics that change those poor performances into games they can get something out of.
hmm True. Moving up to the big mid-table battle here, we've got so from Dragons in 10th up to Midlothian in 6th. So they are the five teams that are battling out for the one playoff spot. And as I mentioned to Ian earlier tonight, I mean we're not even going to get the a final solution or a final answer tonight, because regardless of what happens with Midlothian and with Hoddesdon tonight, they're going to be within 3 points of each other, regardless of what happens. Those two, so none of them are gonna pull away from the completely from the pack tonight. Do you have any predictions or any favorites among those five teams?
Oh, so Midlothian have got myself at home and then Astor away, I think. So, I mean, if he beats me tonight, I think he'll make it. That's my prediction, but I think that's a big ask for him.
Hmm
I think we've discussed Chudley's running. I think they're playing the teams around them. I think if any of those teams win the remaining two games, then they qualify, in
There'll
my
be because
opinion.
there's most likely only going to be one of them that's going to pick up 6 points, isn't there? If we're
Yes,
being, I mean,
maybe none of them, but
not being disrespectful to any of the teams, but I mean, for a start, Hoddesdon and Hooligans play each other, so they are not both going to get 6 points for sure, are they? So, or sorry, Hooligans and Chudley play each other, so well, one of them's going to end up with well, they're going to have a maximum of four, if they draw and then they win the other two, or one team's going to get six. So that could be the winner of that game could go on to lift it, but we'll see when we get to the end of the evening, and we can start having a little bit of a chat about what's going to happen in the next round of fixtures. Looking at the top, it looks as if Parma and Astra are going to be uh, in sort of the I can't remember, the minor semi-final or whatever the hell it's called. These kind,
yeah.
or the elimination stage. Sorry, the elimination stage, I think is the first one. Churchtown still hunting you guys down. What do you make of it? You're gonna have to get 3 points tonight, aren't you? I mean, Churchtown, they're at home to BTEC. That's got to be 3 points for them, isn't it? So they'll be on 46 by the end of the evening. Their goal difference is equal to yours, but they have scored more goals, so they could potentially go above you, unless you obviously. I mean, they will if you lose, obviously. But I'm guessing you're planning not to lose.
That's the plan, yeah. In my head, I've got giving a point tonight, and then I'm at home next week, and that should secure second spot. Obviously, be delighted to try and hunt down Andreas, but I think he's got two bankers in my head. I can't remember who his last game, but I wrote it when I wrote it down. I thought he's got Swindon tonight, and then his last game,
Hoddesdon
I had Hoddesdon. I
Hornets
think
was that the
he should
fixtures?
beat Hoddesdon, shouldn't he?
Yeah, he's at home to the Devils, and then he's away to Hoddesdon. Yeah, so um, not just a baby by the sound of it, or was it as well? I don't know. can't distinguish what what you've got going on there, Ryan. But I hope you're managing to keep it all under control.
Yeah, we're all right. We're all good.
Good, good, good. Okay, so the fixtures that we've got this evening. Let's not hang around. Let's dive into it and get the sweets up. So the first game of the evening is let's see if we can find them here. Is Valen United. Let me just double check. Yes, I did. It's Valen United against Swindon Devils. So Valen, I mean, they were sort of half champed by BTEC last week. I think we can say, or Buffon certainly did his best. They are looking to secure first place against the Devils. If they win tonight, and you fail to win, then it's kind of it's looking good for a first place for them anyway. They do have Fiore out for the rest of the season, and Lisa Rasu is being rested. What do you make of their lineup tonight? Totti seems to have found some form, hasn't he?
Yeah, that front three are fantastic. Yeah, I'm just looking at that. Pinardi is the kind of one that you'd pick out and say he's not a bad player by any stretch of the imaginations, but he's the kind of one of the weaker ones. Roy Keane on the game is great in real life, not so much. Cafu has been fantastic all season. Yeah, it's his strongest lineup he's got available. I think Pinardi's slightly ahead of Nakata, so I can see why he's gone with that. Um, yeah, it's a strong lineup. He's heavily favourites in my book.
Yeah, I'm not going to read too much into the. I mean, I know Fife, you posted some predictions earlier on tonight. I don't know who's got multiple accounts or what was going on there, but there were some interesting predictions that we saw on that. So I'm not going to dwell too much on that. Safe to say that Swindon have certainly had a slight upturn in form is not really strong enough to describe it. They've got some confidence back there. They welcome back Montero from suspension, and Deisler is coming in as well, playing on the right hand side instead of Ebiedi. Um, it's probably not the game that Fife was hoping to have now, considering how he's been improving with his form. But I mean, he's got to have a little bit of hope and perhaps a tiny bit of a chance here. What do you think?
Well, he's got his best 11 players on the pitch, in my opinion. Um, Potentially, I'd have Franco in net rather than Richard Wright and Madeira up top instead of Simone and Zaghi. But that they are, in essence, a strong 11. Zidane, he got written off by a lot of clubs earlier on in the season. He's a fantastic player at the start of the game. Sebi Deisler and Ziraberto, I'm a big fan of both of those. Cambiasso can do a job. I know Fife himself is a huge fan of Cambiasso.
Hmm.
Um, yeah, I'm another one of these people who's not a huge fan of three at the back, but they're three not so bad defenders. Montero's quality first couple of seasons. West and Ekiar both can do a job. So yeah, it's not a bad lineup. Whether I think he's got a chance is a different matter, but yeah, it's a strong lineup.
Hmm. Well, we'll kick this one off, and we'll see if he can do what the BTEC did last week. He would need Richard Wright to obviously be of sort of Buffon-esque proportions in ways of perform in terms of performance, but so that's maybe a bit of a big ask. But you never know. I mean, it is top versus bottom, so I'm guessing home favorite for you.
Yes, I would say I'll be surprised if it's. I'll be surprised if it's not by at least 3 goals.
Right. Okay. Well, we'll see. We'll kick this one off, and we'll see if Valen can live up to your prediction, or if Swindon can continue their rise towards the 11th spot. Um, yeah, I was gonna say good early start for Valen, but then Lasisi got a yellow card, and 15 minutes in, and they haven't scored. It's not the end of the world, but oh well,
Really.
there's Rui Costa. So there we go. Swindon still with a couple of chances though. I mean, they're not completely out of it. And
No,
Lasisi's
they don't
already on a
seem to be.
yellow.
Yeah, they don't seem to be creating too much. It seems to be all blue and white for me. I think that was a long ranger from Zero Roberto there.
Hmm.
Yeah, but it's not all one way traffic. I know what you mean.
Hmm. I mean, there's a chance for Deisler there right at the end. And Inzaghi with the equalizer just on right on halftime. I think Deisler, who's been recalled to the Swindon side, bombing down the right hand side and getting in with a goal there. So let's have a look at the stats in the first half. So fairly even, I would say. I mean,
Yeah,
it looked as if there was more position for the Swedes, but fairly even overall.
yeah. That is a great first half for the Swindon. I think we'll see a lot more of Sebastian Deisler next season, hopefully a bit further up the table. Yeah, he's had a really good first half there. Deisler, Inzaghi, Zé Roberto. Um, I think Fife is definitely the happier of the two managers. Andreas will be thinking what the hell's going on. Um,
Good news for
but
you.
yeah, yeah, well, yeah, potentially, yeah. I know I've been cheering Fife on all week, so I'm going to continue cheering him on. I do hope he gets something tonight, which it might end up meaning nothing for me if I go and get beat by Ian. But yeah, let's hope that Fifey comes out even stronger second half.
Yeah, and Totti's having one. It's a strange one with Totti. He's had a couple of very, very good games, but tonight he's not at the races. So we'll see. Valen have been a bit like yourself, a second half team really. So we'll see if they can pick it up. Apart from that, Giuliano looks to be struggling a tiny bit. Um, if you look at the
As
Swindon performance, sorry.
as Andreas not got any half-time instructions, he sometimes puts a few of those
Yeah,
in.
he does, but none of them apply for his the players that he's pointed out for poor performance. They did all right, so there's no substitutions to be made there. With regards to Fifey, also no, although it is kind of close, but we'll leave the guys on because they've done pretty well so far. A bunch of sixes though, just Deisler getting that eight, and Richard Wright, as we said, he's going to be on sort of like Buffon form if they're going to get pick up 3 points. Not many touches of the ball for a lot of the Swindon players, but I guess it's what you do with it that counts. Um,
Yeah, counter-attacking football away from home against Valens. There's no kind of shame in that at all.
no. You gotta do what you gotta do against the opponents that you come up with. I think you're unless you have a very strong dominant side. I think it'll be a bit of a I don't know foolish to just go with the same kind of attacking formation as you might do at home. But anyway, decent start from Swindon. Andreas reckons that Swindon's gonna pick up a 2-1 win. What do you think? You would take that, wouldn't you?
I would take that. Yeah, I'd take any kind of result for Swindon. Yeah,
We'll
let's hope that Andreas is right.
we'll kick it off and see what happens in the second half here. Good early start from Valen, lots of pressure, but they
There
haven't
is Johan
capitalized on it.
Elmander though.
Yeah, Saviola with a chance, Totti with a chance, Totti with another chance, Rui Costa with
Oh,
another chance. I mean, it's reminiscent of the BTEC game now, with with all the chances that they have here. Um,
yeah,
but
it's all Valen at the minute. Let's hope that last minute from Swindon we can get something. Don't look like it though. Let's see
don't
if he
rule
hits
out
the ball.
Kluivert or Elmander.
Oh,
No, Rui Costa. Rui Costa takes it for Valen United. 2 goals, stepping up to where you would have expected really Todd to be the guy who did that. I mean, a credible performance by the Devils. But I mean, 10 shots, 4 on target. I mean, perhaps a little bit unlucky to not have slightly better finishing, which could have maybe seen them get a draw there. But yeah, solid home win after that second half performance, I would suggest.
I would say that it'll be more relief from Andreas there than kind of joy. I think obviously he's going to be over the moon. He's got confirmed that top two spot.
Hmm.
He's most likely going to finish top. He's got to win, so he's going to be happy. But I think if he'd have looked at that performance in isolation, I think if we'd have been 4 or 5 games back, he'd have been expecting to win that 4 or 5-0,
Hmm.
4 or 5-1, rather than not say scraping, but edging a 2-1.
Hmm.
It just kind of shows how far the Swindon Devils have come. Really, he's obviously got a lot better of a. He's been working on his formation. He's got a lot more lot more nous now with his tactics, Spifey, and it seems to be. Yeah, he'll be disappointed there not to get something.
Yeah, definitely. And I mean, it bodes well for. I mean, of course, he's entitled to go for that 11th or 12th or 13th position and see if he can catch the guys in front of him. It's got to be. It's limited to Devils now. Or sorry, to Sloths now, obviously. But it's got to give him some kind of confidence going into the next season. I mean, getting such a recently quite good results and a very credible performance against Val United here, and a little bit unlucky with the guys not really being on target. Kluivert being the worst of the offenders with 3 shots off target after being so relatively dominant recently. And I think it's very interesting to see Pablo Montero getting a 9 in that central of the three position. That's
A
a
rarity.
that's a rarity. So he's got to take that. Dice will probably start again instead of Ebiede after getting an 8 and a goal. Sorry, an assist there. So yeah, overall I think a decent performance from the Devils. And
I'd
if
say,
we
yeah,
just
I think Fifey's, I'd say 9/10 of the way there with that team. I think he just needs to a couple more little tweaks, and he'd have a really strong team.
yeah, I mean, I would say perhaps looking at. I mean, I know Richard Wright got an 8, but perhaps looking at the goalkeeper position and a little bit more efficiency up front. I mean,
Yeah,
Simone Inzaghi is not bad, but there is another Inzaghi who's perhaps, a little bit more in the way of getting goals. And Elmanda, I would say, is a little bit inconsistent, but he's also like pretty young in the game and can improve. But he has done fairly well after he came in. Um, I think the main talking point for if there is any apart from the actual result and etc. Is Francesco Totti's return to poor performance. That's going to be slightly worrying for Valen going into the playoffs where they are going to face slightly stronger sides. They need Francesco Totti firing on all cylinders, not getting 6 and pretty much no involvement in the game. So yeah, I mean it's still a strong
yeah,
side.
it's still a strong. I mean, you look past Totti and he's got 9/9/9/7/8/8. So it's not like he's
No.
had bad performances right at the park. Totti's the only one with below a 7.
hmm
Um, Whoever faces Andreas from now on in the league, most likely myself or potentially Kieran, is going to come in for a really really tough game.
hmm
There's you definitely if Totti asleep, then that's just one of 11 players in his arsenal, really. As you can see tonight, that if Totti's not there, then
Rui Costa
Shevchenko and
steps up.
Saviola aren't scoring, then
Shevchenko.
Rui Costa
Yeah.
steps up. Yeah,
And Carter stepped
he's
up
got more.
before as well, so he's got plenty.
Yeah,
Anyway, moving relatively swiftly on, we have a Somerset Sloths against Hoddesdon Hornets coming up, and yeah, first of all, it's 4 defeats in a row for the boys from Somerset now, and after last week's disaster against the Devils, there without the suspended Day and without the suspended Simeone, so he's made a bit of a tactical change. I think maybe he's played something similar earlier this season. Have a look at Tony Franken, the reserve goalkeeper. He's
is this
he's
guy?
he's what we could find down in the reserves. He's he's the man. I don't know if anyone saw that YouTube thing about I think it was an American hockey. And Andreas will know what I'm talking about. There's an American hockey team who I think the first choice goalie got injured, and then the substitution goalie got injured, and then apparently the team that's hosting have like an assigned kind of backup goalie just in case, and it's like a guy, 4-year-old guy, and they put him on the ice and they won. So maybe we'll see something similar tonight.
Tony Franken, the legend.
hmm two
Have you never signed him, Martin?
two caps for Australia apparently. I mean, he's got history from I'm not sure where, but no, I'd never heard of him before. The
I've
Samboni
had him.
driver for the Maple Leafs. So this is the the beer tent guy from Somerset Slots we've got on the bench here. If we can draw some kind of parallel to it. Sloths. Do you think they'll lose their last 2 games and give Swindon that opportunity, or do you think they'll come good in this one? He does have decent players, doesn't he?
He's got decent players. He's got world class striker, and I quite like this tactic tonight. I know he's used. I think Taibbi's a better goalkeeper than Dai. Obviously, Simeone's a miss for him. Bashturk's pretty terrible, but overall, not a bad lineup. Yeah, I think he'll get something tonight at home. Yeah,
hmm
I'd expect something from Somerset tonight.
Yeah, yeah. Bass took a surprise inclusion there, but I think it's just making his seasonal debut as well. Craig is sticking with the gammon formation despite conceding 6 goals in the last 2 games and picking up only just the single point, which has kind of halted the planned playoff party that Hornets looked to be in for maybe like what 4 or 5 weeks ago. Um, Justification for the
It's,
justification for the 4-4-2. Do you think it?
I mean, there can be justification for the 4-4-2. You can play whichever tactic you like. If you and who are we to kind of question Craig's tactics after he's had such an illustrious Super League career? But one thing that you can't get away with in my book is not including Gabriel Batistuta. Please tell me he's injured, Mike.
Oh, he's injured. Batistuta
Oh,
and Lucio are still injured, unfortunately for him.
right.
And yeah,
They're his marquee players, aren't they? So,
that's been a bit of a problem for him. You can see that Kufu has now moved into to a central defender role, because I think that Hutardo chap he signed didn't really come good, and Stilian Petrov did not like playing that. MC role with the backwards arrow. I think he done pretty well in the in when he played the 4-1-3-2 formation, but in the 4-4-2 Petrov did not work out. So he's obviously got Hargreaves in there, who's maybe done slightly better. Um, yeah, it's a tricky one for the Hornets. They looked as if they were pretty much nailed on for a playoff spot. But it's you know you can't take anything for granted in the Super League. I guess is a lesson that we can take from that. Um, predictions. What do you think? Sloths in with a shout tonight.
yeah, I'm probably going to end up with egg on my face here, but I would suggest a home win here. Easy home win for Sloss. They, on paper, and I know the game we always say is not played on paper, but this
Yeah.
game should be played on paper, and I think Sloss should win this by a couple of goals. But
Oh
yeah,
well,
I think morale must come into it a little bit, and Sloss are in terrible form, so that might be a bit of an issue.
Well, Alp's going with 1-1, so we'll kick this one off and see if Sloths can get back to winning ways, or if the gammon tactic will prevail for the Hornets. Certainly looks like a bit of a fresh attacking start from Sloths, and Crespo getting the early goal only 10 minutes in. We'll see if Hornets can respond to that. But it's been very slothy so far.
Yeah, it just looks like Hornets came back into it for a little bit then, but still, if you mean it still looks like Somerset and the more likely. Crespo looks like the most dangerous player on the pitch, but this is unfortunate.
Yeah, that's unfortunate for them. I mean, they do have Yepes on the bench, who's not been bad for them. Christian Burns is the other one at the back. We'll see if they can keep Tsigalko. Oh dear, the discipline again for Sloss
Mm.
proving to be a bit of an issue. We'll put Rivaldo out there and keep it symmetrical so we
Oh,
don't open up one of the sides.
would you not rather move Kaka in, play narrower? I don't know. Anyway, you're the boss. I'll ignore me. Ignore me.
I think that's a little bit wild. No, No, we're moving as few people as we can. So Rivaldo's going to go out there. I mean, considering that he's playing with wing, if he was playing a narrow formation, I would have kept them narrow. But considering that he's playing with wingers, I'm going to have to put them out there. I mean, you can't leave Steve McManaman roaming free down the the left hand side, can you?
Oh God. I mean,
Well, you could.
what you could. I don't know what would happen.
Well, either way, he managed to hold on until half time. I even changed the tackling, absolute horse toss. Yeah, you did. It's true, but apparently you've got who's in charge of this one, Nick Asagiotis. Yeah, that's how it goes. That's how it goes. So that's the third red card for Sloths in 2 games. That's quite a lot, but I mean, they're still hanging on, aren't they?
They are indeed. 2 shots, 2 on target, 1 goal. Only conceded 1 shot on target. I'd still, looking at both sides on paper, at 10 versus 11, I'd still put Sloss as favourites here. So yeah,
Yes, there's
uh,
not been much to write home about for Hornets in the first half. Sixes and sevens is probably not what Craig was hoping for at all. Yellow card for Sagnol as well. Um, they just seem to be struggling a little bit for anything that really resembles form with this formation. So uh,
as as Fifey mentioned before, I'm very surprised he didn't go back to the 4-1-3-2, which he's had successes in the past. He seemed to be
mhm.
playing that earlier on in the season when he was getting more consistent results. He's changed it around a bit recently. He's gone to this gammon formation, and he's never really had any consistent success. I think he's won the odd game, but with a 4-1-3-2, he was winning 2 and 3 on the bounce. So I'm surprised he's not gone back to that. But
Yeah, I think he
yeah,
had one. I think he had a 3-0 victory or something the first time out. But yeah, I think that was about it. But we'll see if Slots can hang on in the second half of if the Gammon boys can find a way back into this. Obviously Crespo. Well, there's Crespo. Um, Dangerous for Sloths, and that's 2 goals up.
yeah, be a long way back now. I can't see him losing. It's the for the other playoff chasers. That's the good thing, especially with just 10 minutes left. Looks like he's the more likely again. It's Crespo and Balak
Yeah,
with
it's
Aldo.
definitely. And there's Van Bronckhorst of all people putting the nail in the coffin for the Gammon formation, probably. Um, and perhaps for
Oh,
Hoddesdon's, I mean, of course they can't theoretically they can't be totally out of it, but that's them with a lot worse goal difference than Midlothian now, and Midlothian still obviously to play this evening. Yeah, solid solid victory for the Sloths and completely dominated the second half. So I mean, I won't say a tactical masterstroke from the chairman, but not a bad result after all.
no, it's a great result for that for Somerset. He put a decent lineup out, and they got a decent victory. I'm not surprised really. Even with 10 men, he'd be over the moon with that second half performance, especially Crespo, who he was rumored to be trying to sell at one point, is kind of staking his claim as still one of the top strikers in the league.
Hmm.
Um, Great performance from Van Bronckhorst, Kaká as well on the right hand side, who I don't really rate myself, but he's playing well.
No, me neither.
Um,
I wasn't surprised that that Timmy let him go, to be honest. But he seems to have found a bit of a home down in Somerset and produced a couple of good games, at least so far the season in the time that he's been there anyway. So that kind of seals it for the bottom of the table. I mean that's the gap too big now for Swindon to close to anyone. So that's one question answered.
is that the first position confirmed?
Yeah, I think it is. I think that's the first position actually confirmed in the league. Yeah, that is it. That is it. So, commiserations to Swindon. Congratulations to Somerset for this result, and we'll see what Hoddesdon bring in their last game. They've got Valen, haven't they? So, yeah, that's
That's
that could be interesting. It's not looking
curtains.
fantastic for Hoddesdon, I would say.
I'd say that's curtains for Hoddesdon now, in my opinion.
Nah.
I can't. I mean, he might get a point against Valen if he's at home, I assume. So he might scrape a point. I can't see him beating them,
Mm.
which means yeah, unless everyone in that chasing battle doesn't win at anything at all, then that's it for them.
That's it for them. Well, we'll get one of the we'll get an answer to that, not in the next game, but in the one after. First up, we've got Churchtown against BTEC. So let's grab Kieran's boys here, and we'll get BTEC on the pitch as well. Oh, I do like BTEC's away colours. That is
Australia,
that is I don't know the
Socceroos,
word
right?
for it. It's
Socceroos.
aesthetically pleasing, I think.
Yeah, it's clear, very clear. I like it.
Kieran is kind of I don't know. He's decided to play very defensively. I'm not sure if he's testing this tactic out for some particular reason, or maybe to kind of bring it out later on in the playoffs. I mean, him and Ferguson are back to winning ways, and
Yeah,
yeah, looking to pile on the pressure on BTEC, who have exactly 180 minutes left to get an away point. Um, what do you make of this?
he, yes, I like the formation. Obviously, he's never one to stick with a formation, is he, Kieran? Which is fantastic for the league, and you never know what you're going to get. I know he's sometimes when he's in a bad run, he just decides to chuck three up top,
Hmm.
and that can all. I mean, it can go either fantastic or disastrous. He seems to be in a good vein of form at the moment. He beat me away from home. He beat Palmer away from home. I think his only poor result in the last 3 or 4 was at home. I hope, obviously, because he's chasing me down, kind of thing. I hope he had a similar result tonight. Um, but obviously, Barry Ferguson on great form. Um, yeah, Iron Robin, Elisa Derby, Van Nistelrooy going forward. He's definitely got the firepower there.
Yeah.
You'd think he has the stones in defence. I'm surprised he's changed it after last week's victory, but Yeah,
Yeah, I mean, maybe it's kind of he's doing it almost reverse. Yeah, he seems to have a great success where some people play attacking away from home and they get easily found out. Then he seems to have it pretty much nailed down, that super attacking away formation. But it's not worked out for him at home, so maybe that's why he's gone a little bit more defensive. Certainly with two at the back, which is which seems almost excessive these days to play with two defenders, and then with the back four there. But we'll see what he can do against the
that is
BTEC.
that is the kind of it's the Parma formation, isn't it? It's set with two defenders and
Uh-huh.
one less of defensive
Of
midfielders. It's
defensive
not.
midfielders, yeah, that's exactly what it is. BTEC's formation is it's sort of a 5-fee Parma hybrid, I guess we can call it.
Well, he's doing what I kind of mentioned before. He's just having a bit of a play around now. He's got a couple of free hits towards the end of the season. He's just seeing if he can get something out of it. One of the teams with the best 11, one of the best 11 players on paper. If he's just not got a tune off out of not got a tune off out of all season. Kivu,
Mm.
Ferdinand, Cordoba. I don't know what he's doing with those outwards arrows at the back.
I was gonna say that. Do they make any sense to you? I don't think so. I mean, they're gonna leave
So
space for the if Kieran's got two strikers playing here, and these guys are running away from there, then that's not going to go well,
yeah,
is it? I don't. I mean, I don't know. I don't know. I could be completely wrong. I mean, we've seen odd formations work. I mean, Cannavaro alone against three attackers sometimes works and
yeah.
sometimes doesn't. So it's difficult to say. But as you mentioned, he does
But
have pretty good players.
he does, yeah. And what's this about Agahoa playing defensive midfield with Kieran Dyer playing centre midfield? Am
Uh,
I? That can't be right, surely. Am I?
nah, I mean,
Who
uh,
am I to question Ian? But it just seems like what?
I don't know, to be honest.
Agahoa's a forward, yeah. Am
Yeah,
I
yeah,
wrong
yeah,
there?
but no, but this is definitely it. This is definitely the right formation. I have double checked. So we'll see how it goes. We'll see how it goes. I think he's relying on the long arrows. I mean, um, Etzeberria and Giggs, and there's a bunch of attacking players who've played a defensive midfielder, although maybe slightly further out, but still, maybe it's like an inside way. Is that not what's it called in the old days? Who's old enough? Alf, please, inside forwards or something like that. Is that where do they play? We've got to get the WM formation or whatever it was called. We've got to get some analysis done on that. Um, how do you see this one going? Home win, BTEC. Let me remind you, 0 points away from home so far this season.
Yeah, I think everything points to a home win, so that's why I think BTEC are going to grab a point. So,
Well, Alf's certainly gone for a 2-1 win, so we'll kick this one off and we'll see how BTEC fares away from home in their what's got to be their 12th attempt, I think, 11th, 12th. Either way.
yeah, 12. 12, yeah. It looks like it's all church then so far. Oh,
Oh, that was a
what
red
happened
card.
then?
That was a red
I thought
card
it was red.
all night long.
Oh, Buffon's playing a blinder again.
It's not an old school fight. No, I have that. I know, Alf. I was kind of half joking. I have read that. Jonathan, I'm gonna plug Jonathan. Oh, that's Olisa Davy with an early goal. Sorry, a late goal in the first half. Yeah, expected. Just to finish that point, I'm gonna plug Jonathan Wilson again. Read his books. He's done a very good one on tactics as well. Either way, back to the back to the action. Doesn't look as if it's working that well for BTEC, that formation.
Not at all, no. He's done literally nothing in that half. Um, yeah, it was all one way traffic. I mean, Buffon's kept him in it really up until half time, and then Alistair Davies finally broke through him. It doesn't look good for Ian unless something is really going to change. Then this game's over, isn't it? Really, nothing at all. 0, 0, 0, 0.
It's a little bit unfortunate. It's possibly a first for the season. I mean, I don't always pay huge attention to halftime scores. I've been known to miss them in the past, but nothing at all. It's not the best. But Kieran is playing um, PTIC winning on throw-ins. But Kieran is playing defensive, so maybe that's also something to consider. He is shotting up shop with 6 men at the back. Let's have a look at the individual player stats. Lilian Thuram's not had a lot to do. Everyone else seems to be doing okay. Robin is not really in it. It's a low kind of low touch game. Maybe lots of running about and things like that, but very little happening as such. Barry Ferguson obviously getting the assist. And let's have a look for B Tech. I mean,
Yeah, quiet game,
Buffon.
hasn't it? It's been a very quiet game, but what traffic there has all been from Churchtown.
Yeah.
Um, I mean, the only shining light for BTEC is Buffon.
And it could have, of course, been a lot worse because I think down here, oh, it didn't really show you. I'm sure it said something about 2-footed and things like that, and he reached in
Yeah,
and showed the Ferdinand the yellow card. Yeah, I can see BTEC champing this in the second half. Well, that would be a turn up for the books. He'd probably need to win on more than throw-ins. Alf says BTEC could still pull out a 2-1 out of the bag. What do you think?
unlikely. There's been no indication in that first half to say that BTEC are going to do anything apart from roll over.
Well,
Um,
we'll kick it off and see if they can get an early goal in the second half because they would definitely need that. But it doesn't look like it. A couple of good saves again from Buffon. Um, I, I mean,
ooh,
that was can't touch the ball, so I don't know if that was a shot. It might have been a shot. I mean, they're a little bit. That's an injury for Sorochinski there. I think Tudor's probably the best. Is
yeah,
Jeremy's right as
yeah.
well? Yeah, I'll swap those two. We'll do that one. Um, Still nothing. Still nothing from BTEC. Could all change in the last 15 minutes, obviously.
Still
For
just
yellow.
1-0, wasn't it? Still 1-0.
That's true.
This would be a champion. Oh no, there it
Oh,
is.
there's Arjen
Game
Robin,
over.
and that probably seals it. If that didn't seal it, then Van Nistelrooy definitely sealed it in the last. I mean, to be fair, they got a shot or two away in the second half, but yeah, that was not. They lost all the tackles. They lost the battle of midfield. Um,
They even lost a lead on throw-ins at that finished equal.
yeah, that was 9-9 in the end.
That's
David Prutton
terrible, isn't it?
didn't enjoy that. Striker didn't enjoy that. Yeah, back to the drawing board as Andreas said. I don't want to harp on about it, but that was not a great performance. On the other hand, Churchtown, 2 assists for Barry Ferguson. They are really hitting their stride now, aren't they? I mean, that's gonna you
Not
getting
a single player below an 8. That
nah.
is an incredible performance.
Yeah, I
And
mean
I tell you what,
Tudor.
now nobody wants to play Churchtown at the minute.
Um, No, I can't imagine that anyone would particularly want to do that, especially not with Barry Ferguson in this form. Sorochinski down to 49%. We'll see how injured he is, but of course, if he sticks with this formation, then he only needs 2 of the DMCs. Then Tudor came in and got a quick 7, and I think he's got Edgar Davids possibly suspended to come back in there as well. So yeah, very strong Churchtown side and definitely. I mean, at the moment they're in second place, aren't they? So a contender for that.
Yeah, I'm starting to get worried now, but there we are.
Yeah, well, someone else who should be worried now is the managers of Hooligans, Midlothian, and Chudley Cannons, because we have got, I think we have got that up next. We have got Hooligans at home. Oh, there's a guy having his debut. We have got Hooligans at home to Chudley Cannons. So, Hooligans.
Diogo Crosa making an appearance.
Yeah. Why not? Diego Crosa. It's pretty good stats, to be fair. I mean,
Yeah, I've had him on a home save. I quite like him actually.
and yeah, it wasn't too expensive either. I think 6.5, 7 million, something like that. Um, where's it gone wrong for Hooligans this season? I might have asked you this before, but
Yeah, you definitely have, and I think it's the same answer as the stubbornness, isn't it? Um, about not willing to kind of shift things around and play a slightly different way. I know he's made a couple of alterations to his tactic, but in essence, it's the same half track he's stuck with all season. It involves playing either Ronaldinho or Aymar out of the best position. It, yeah, his best player is probably actually all season has probably been the worst player on the pitch in terms of stats, and that's Kennedy Bakiroglu.
Yeah, I mean, especially now in the
He's
second half of the season, he's, I mean, contender for player of the season if we started at Christmas. I mean, he's been pretty much unstoppable in the last couple of games. I think he's got two in the last four in the last two games or something like that. Anyway.
yeah, he's one of the Swedes you get at the start of the game. I think on a 350k minimum fee release. So if you're a Championship or Division One side or Division Two side, he's one that you sometimes go for to try and get you up to the Premier League. I know you don't think that selling the same player twice should be allowed, Martin, but I know some of us do that. Um,
Yeah, no. Everyone's very much allowed to do that. In my game, it would be cheating. In your game, it might be perfectly acceptable. I don't have a problem with how other people play. Well, I do, to be fair. Either way, that's probably a discussion for another night. But yeah, let's see if Kennedy can continue his good run of form tonight. With regards to Chotley, it's win or lose with the Cannons. They've only had 2 draws the entire season. Posansini and Rossini. They probably need to score 3 tonight, I would suggest, because Hooligans will score at least once, probably twice. Do you see goals enough in the Chotley side? They have been slightly better recently than their sort of mid-season horrendous form.
yeah, I like their formation. It's very similar to mine. uh, yeah, they're as you kind of said, they're hit and miss, aren't they? So I think he's got the best of his goalkeepers in net. Rustini is going to be a threat. If you look at those attacking midfielders, that's where you think he probably needs something stronger. But yeah,
Hmm.
um, it looks strong for me.
Yeah,
I think
Mark Kerr
whether they'll
came in
score,
last week as well and did a decent job in the AMC role. I think it was Gallardo who went off. He's obviously
yeah,
going
I'd
with
probably start him. It was me. I'd probably be starting Mark over maybe.
and then put Esteveria on the out on the right and then Kerr in the middle.
Yeah, yeah. I know you're not a fan of Ramadal, are you? I don't
No,
know.
which is odd because I
Why.
normally defend all Danish players in everything they do, but Dennis is not one of them, unfortunately for him.
But you mean I like the formation. He's got a goal threat in Rossini. He's got two quality defensive midfielders, and he's got a solid back line. If his goalkeeper keeps his gloves on, then he's got a chance in this game.
Right. Well, we'll see if Kennedy will be too hot to handle for Charlie Cannons, or if they'll get the 3 goals that I personally think they'll need in order to secure the 3 points. Either way, it's going to be very exciting for the battle for the playoff promotions. Of course, both teams, I think, if I'm not mistaken, they are 32 and 31. So either side could go could go sixth after Hoddesdon's defeat, at least until Midlothian play later and Dragons. But let's see how this one goes with
Let's
Hooligans
do
at
it.
home to Chotley.
Oh,
Kennedy
one
with an
minute of
assist. Who would
straight
have
in that
thought
in the main
Defoe?
goal. It was all one-way traffic at the minute, but I know Chudley Cannons have come back from a lot bigger defeats than one, haven't they?
Yeah, they were 2-0 down to Arsley, weren't they, and won 5-2 or 3-0? I mean, they were down anyway, at least by 2. But they've not had
Yeah.
much in the first half.
Krosa playing well, Bakiroglu, even Desai seems to be having a lot of the ball. Oh, did I see an easy chance there, miss?
Yeah, I mean, I think Rossini did so well. I mean, you've always got this, haven't you? You get one of your strikers, and I love it when one of my strikers score like 3 or 4 goals, but you know in your heart that means he's probably going to score like 3 in the next 10 games. So there's always that.
Unless
Um,
it is alcohol, yeah. I agree.
so a very even first half, but Hooligans just edging it with that very early goal. What was it? Yeah, Kennedy turned with the ball. Defoe made himself available and took the opportunity. Um, yeah, even Stevens so far in terms of shots. And if we look at the player ratings, I mean, Hooligans. To be fair to them, if we look at their performances in the last 3 or 4 games, I think all of the players have had like steady sort of 7, 8s, 9s across the board. But he's just not been able to keep a clean sheet. It's going a little bit better tonight, isn't it?
So far, so good. Yeah, he's got some quality players there. His defenders seem to be playing a lot better. Krosa and Desai not doing a good job. He's got two quality DMCs in Emerson and Mendieta. Um, we were both performing well, and yeah, he's always going to score goals. So if everything works for him, he wins games. It's more often than not he concedes 2 goals out of nothing.
Hmm.
which make it a bit of a mountain to climb. But he scored first tonight. Um, yeah, but it doesn't really guarantee anything in the second
No, because
half,
I
does it?
think Swindon came back with 2 goals in the second half against them, didn't they? So yeah, I mean they're going to have to put on a much better performance, especially Steve Finnan, who got the nod tonight because he'd been doing so well early on the season, and I think obviously Timmy was hoping that they do something down the wings against the narrow formation of hooligans, but it's not really been happening so far. But maybe in the second half, it's still all to play for. I think
It
is it
is, yeah. Still,
fair to say?
I wouldn't put a banker on hooligans at all.
No, not with their recent defensive record. Anyway, it's been a while since we've seen a clean sheet from them. I think I noticed down here they've got a remarkable record of having scored 2 goals or more in the last 8, but they've only won one of them, which is pretty
Wow.
spectacular to score 2 goals or more in 8 games and still only pick up one single win out of those 8 games. So maybe
Just
they'll
a
take.
quick one. Just a quick one, Martin. I think Timmy sometimes has half-time instructions. He's not got any tonight, has he?
No, his instructions are usually related to injuries, what to do in various
Ah,
situations, and red cards and stuff like that. It's rarely performance based, and I don't have anything noted down here, so it should be fine. The only instructions that are left for this evening is for your and Midlothian's game, so that's definitely noted down. I did try to prepare a little bit this week. We'll kick off the second
brilliant.
half and see if Hooligans can hold on, or if they're going to live up to their recent form and concede a couple of goals. Um, a big early chance for Chudley and a penalty claim turned down. I think we've got Carlos Gamara, probably the best one for that. I mean, none of them are
Mhm.
brilliant for it, are they? So um,
Yeah, I think Gemara probably.
that's probably going
Yeah,
to
I
do
think you're
that.
right. Like, can Carosa sometimes? I think sometimes he can be a
It's
DMC as well.
a sweet but defender center. I'm going to leave it at this. I think
Ah,
it's going to be fine. They've done okay down at the back, those two, haven't they? Crosa and Desai. So I'll leave them there, and I'll put Emerton up there because he's all right. So let's see if it changes anything. Plenty of chances for Chutley, I think, in the second half, but failed
looks
to
more
failed to
Chudley,
convert.
doesn't it?
Yeah, and a big penalty shout as well that was turned down early on. But I was going to say it seems as if and there's Estebaria coming back right at the death
10 minutes to
for
go.
10 minutes left. They do often concede 2 hooligans. Still time for that.
Oof.
Oof.
Thought they were going to concede too.
I mean, that's a good result for Midlothian, but a terrible result for both hooligans and for Chudley Cannons. Of course, it mathematically keeps them in if Midlothian were to lose later on this evening. But I mean, neither side can really use that, can they? Let's see what happened there in the early second half. Boomer it was Boomer who actually made the sliding tackle. I thought it was up at the other end. Um, Indirect free kick was given, and Mendieta picked up a knock. That's another injury for Mendieta. Um, but I was going to say a bit more even. I
Penalty
mean,
claim.
Hooligans had. I thought it was a bit more even there, but Hooligans apparently had the better of the second half. Um, what do you make of that? 1-1, a fair result.
Oh, definitely, yeah. I thought Hooligans just edged the first half. Chudley just edged the second. 1-1. As you've already alluded to, neither team will be over the moon, but it keeps both teams in the mix. I think just about if unless Midlothian win tonight, both teams are in it going into the last week. Hooligans are the team which you think that's their last home game, I think, and they would have expected to win that if they're going to qualify.
Hmm. Yeah, and good news I tell you who it's good news for. It's good news for the Dragons.
It's good news for the Dragons. I was thinking that it's half time actually if they would be happiest with a draw.
Yeah, I
The
mean,
Dragons win, and
they need to. Hoddesdon have lost. These two guys have drawn. All they need is Midlothian to lose by a couple and them to win by a couple, and they're in sixth place going into the
can they
last
go
round.
six tonight?
Sorry,
That's crazy. They
they
can
can
go
go
six
six.
tonight.
They are three. I think they're 3 goals worse off than Midlothian and 3 points behind. So if 2 goals in either direction, Midlothian lose by 2, they win by 2. I think they go six on goal difference, and they play
Wow,
Parma in the last game, who they apparently always beat. So who knows? Who knows what can happen?
that would be crazy. Dragons coming steamrolling into the playoffs right at the end would be fantastic.
that would be story of the season. I mean, Alf did something similar with Stackington, obviously, but I think he kind of established himself already with a couple of games to go in there. Maybe I'm not entirely sure, but certainly some revival from the Dragons if that was to happen. Anyway, next up we've got Arsenal Celtic against Panathinaikos.
It's a bit of a nothing game, isn't it? Really, there's not much to play for. I mean, Parma are already kind of certified in the playoffs, and Ardsley are kind of already out of it. So it should be a fun game. Hopefully, both teams go for it and leave everything at the door, as they say.
hmm
Um,
Yeah, I mean,
but yeah,
Arsenal's season is effectively over. The manager will probably be looking back at that 3-5-3 win they had over Dragons, maybe 8 or 10 games ago, and wonder where it all went wrong from there, because it looked as if that was going to be, Morientes and Tristan were looking like they were both going to be challenging for the top scorer title, but it's all been a little bit, yeah,
yeah. There's a couple of games. I seem to remember a game against Slavs where he went with this balmy formation just for a bit of fun. When I thought he was still in it at that point, and I was a
yeah,
bit
yeah,
like,
and they lost that
he
one
kind
five
of
three.
maybe, yeah, he kind of threw the towel in a little bit early. Um, he's on paper still got a really strong team, so we'll
hmm
see.
Yeah,
We'll
I
see
mean,
what happens and
and
see
they,
where
and
he
they've
gets on next
and
year.
they've had a decent home form this season. They've had a decent home form this season as well. Evening Dan, and thanks for joining. Um, yeah,
He's
is it?
no Paddy Vieira tonight.
No, I think he's either injured or suspended. I think he had the two players out injured and or suspended, but yeah, he's not playing. Panathinaikos, maybe you can talk us through his lineup, because he's without a few regulars as well.
Is this more experimental than injury based?
He's got Eddie Pope at the back.
Yeah, the legend that is Eddie Pope. So he's no Cannavaro. He's gone with Harrisimovic and Arveladze up front, which is a no Ebe Sand. I thought he'd have kept Ebe Sand in with going for the Golden Boot. Um, Nedved's obviously fantastic in midfield. Ashley Life is I would never put Ashley Life in there. Um, Melchiot at right wing back. Can Melchiot play right wing back? Is that
Uh,
is
I
that one of
think he
his
did. I think
allotted
he
roles?
can. Yeah, yeah, yeah. I think he got a
Yeah.
9 like he did last time and got a 9. I think he did quite well. Yeah, I'm not sure what. I mean, Oliver Decour. I'm not sure why he's keeping him on the bench. I thought he was decent, but in general, but yeah, he's going with this lineup perhaps to see if anyone can hack it
I
in a
think
in a playoff
yeah, I
game
think
if he needs it.
as I kind of alluded to, I think this is kind of Palmer's happy he's got the Q next to his name, that he's pretty certain that it's not going to make too much of a difference which position he kind of finishes between sixth and third because
It's going to be a
um,
playoff. It's going to be an
yeah,
extra playoff round anyway, isn't it? And
yeah,
he's just gonna put
it's
out
home and away
his
in the first round.
yeah, and he's gonna put out his strongest. I mean, he can say that he's punishing players or whatever he's doing here or trying something different, but he's already got his lineup for that first playoff game, and that's his strongest lineup of the season with Cannavaro in the back, with Dacour back in, with uh, with the guys that he's had tried and tested throughout the season, I think. But it's nice to see that the other guys are going to get a bit of a run out here, and of course with Arsenal being in the situation that they're in, it's not something that's going to be affecting the playoff picture at the bottom of the table significantly. So fair play to Palmer for doing that
He's still
tonight.
got
And
that strong spine, in my opinion, though. He's got Nicky Butt, Pavel Nedved, and Nicky Ferenko. I think that's that middle line which he has. He's kind of trademarks for Panathinaikos. I think it's fantastic. So
yeah,
if them three play well, then he stands a chance.
they've definitely served him well, and we'll see what they can do against Arsenal tonight. Nice look at that kit. Yes, we like it. Is it Palermo's colors? Palermo as well. I think I like this in the game. So yeah, let's kick this one off and see if Arsenal can pick up 3 points here away from home, and get a bit of a. I was going to say, can Patrick Vieira go out on a high? But obviously him and Milevski are suspended, so so they'll have to wait until next week. But we'll see what happens in this one. I'll just fix that. Lyth and Harasimovic having an early connection and some early
Penalty.
success there.
Yeah, it
Penalty
looked like Ardsley could have had a penalty as well. It looks like I don't know what happened exactly, but
penalty claim definitely turned down, but
it looks more Panathinaikos than Ardsley at the moment, which is a surprise considering it's maybe a B team for Panathinaikos.
yeah, it is a little bit. I mean, I think he mentioned in the did he mention in the blog as well that he just cannot get anything out of his attacking midfielders this season, which has really been his downfall, I think, as well. The kind of lack of I mean, 640 for Riquelme and Joe Cole, I think he got rid of or did something to because he was that disgusted with his performances in that AMC role. It's just not worked out for him at all, has it?
No, yeah, I think he's sold. But he's done a pre-contract agreement with the new manager of Panathinaikos to actually sell Riquelme, I believe. Um, I think that's how much he's kind of made that decision already that he's not happy with attacking midfielders. But yeah, on paper, Riquelme and Cole, you'd think let's bring them to my club. They're good players.
Hmm.
Obviously, they've not worked for Ardsley, as so many players haven't really worked for Ardsley this season. Um, he was disappointed there. In essence, playing at home to Palmer's reserves and in getting outplayed.
Yeah.
So I don't know what's going on, Hadji, but something needs to change.
Yeah, there's something in that formation that's not. I'm not saying that we should all go super narrow because there are obviously great success. I mean, Kieran played a wide formation tonight with great success. So yeah, there are different formations that obviously work well depending on the players you've got at your disposal. But I think maybe a step away from this kind of 5-3-2 variation. I mean, I know he has tried other formations, and I certainly don't have the answer to this, but it's whatever is happening, it's definitely not working. Panathinaikos, not really too much to say about that first half performance. I mean, they created a couple of chances. It wasn't too bad. It's 0-0. They had the slight better of it, I guess. Do you
Right.
see?
And you've got to think these players that are playing haven't played many games. So,
Mm,
um, yeah, sometimes if they've not got match fitness, they don't get the accuracy down as well,
hmm.
especially with the strikers. So I think he'll be happy there.
Yeah, 0-0. I mean, clean sheet's always good, isn't it? Quite. I mean, I don't know if anyone who normally notices these things. Alf, the weather is
Oh,
breezy, and the
I think,
referee is Matthew Breeze.
oh God.
Just one of those little things. We'll see if I don't know why the game engine is screwed. By the way, guys. So and that's an early goal from Orientis. Early goal from Orientis there.
What were you meaning by the game engine is screwed?
That there are things happening, this kind of thing slowing the. Oh, and that's Nikiforenko with an equalizer. We can take that after the tonight's game.
Yeah,
Avalatsa probably won't feature anymore this season anyway. Um, Off he goes. Who do we have? It'll be
I
like
think you're right.
I think it'll be like that, won't it? I think.
Okay, I'd have probably kept Gerard further forward, but okay.
Ah, I guess. Yeah, so Nikiforenko, I think he's been out injured, has he not just not done it? Oh, Diego Tristan, that's what Arsenal wanted earlier this season with those two guys getting in on the action. But then Nedved gets a late equalizer for Panathinaikos here. They're definitely not giving up. Um, and
Oh,
Nedved with a third.
it's wow,
Oh, what a
wow.
finish! What a last 10 minutes there. Really really turning the lights out for Arsenal Celtic there.
Yeah, great performance from Panathinaikos with his reserves. I think he'll be over the moon. Um, yeah, well done to his lads. Nedved, no low key, really one of the best players on the game. Absolutely fantastic tonight. Um, yeah, what a great performance. And then for Hodgie, you've got to wonder where do you go from here? At home, bit of a free hit against Panathinaikos. Panathinaikos reserves at that, and not only has he been beat, he's been outplayed as well.
Scrap
Even with
heap,
his
scrap heap challenge. That was Andreas's comment. Well done with the scrap heap challenge, guys. Play. I loved that show. Do you remember that show? Was it on Discovery? Where was it on?
yeah,
To
yeah,
scrap heap
I did.
challenge. Sounds brilliant. Were
I
Arsenal's
did.
players unfit? No, Alf, they were not unfit. He had two suspensions, and everyone else had 100%, just like everyone else. I think everyone had there was a full week between the matches, so I think all the fitnesses were equal. There weren't any concerns for Arsenal there, but it did look as if they ran out of. Ran out of steam a little bit towards the end. I mean, two goals. Where do we even begin with Riquelme and Stankovic and all this? I think there's something in that tactic that's not working anyway. I don't know if they're not getting the right support, if they're not. doing whatever. He's got his fullbacks working now. The central defenders are not doing too bad. It's just that center of the pitch, that kind of area in here
I think
where.
he might have a different centre of the pitch for next season. I think there's a lot of changes being done there
Hmm.
with his opposition. So yeah, we'll kind of see what happens. But yeah, something needs to change. I
Something
completely agree.
something needs to change. And a big shout out from the Panathinaikos manager to yourself, Ryan, for noticing. For some reason, I thought he was a central midfielder. That other Gerard bloke. So that's why.
Yeah, and I think on some of the teams either attacking midfielder slash forward, on those he's just an attacking midfielder. I definitely say that you kind of central midfield controlling the game. You kind of want one of your strongest players, and Nedved's definitely that.
Definitely. And Jogatos, not surprising to see him getting a 9. He's probably the closest contender for with Giggs and Dede for left fullback of the season. Would you agree?
Yeah, he's a great player. Fantastic. He's tough to get on the game, but yeah, really good player.
And last but not least, any of these boys in with a shout for being included in Parma's playoff squad? Do you think?
Any
Ashley
of the
Live,
starters?
maybe.
No, I can't see it. George Assos will definitely be playing. Nicky Butt, I would assume, he'll be playing. Nedved, Nicky Varenko. That's
Hmm.
about it. Olivier Decor definitely be starting.
Hmm.
Oh, Dida. I think Dida is probably the strongest keeper. I think we did a midweek show where we went through Parma's keepers, and um, I think he kind of decided that Dida was the strongest of the lot. Um,
Hmm. Yeah,
yeah,
Ambrosini could.
Sorry, I missed Ambrosini there. Andreas, yeah, he'll definitely be
You'd
playing as
have
well.
you'd have him in as well, wouldn't you? Anyway, 3-2 win for Panathinaikos. That's a bit of a thing. It should come up with Dragons. We've got Dragons up against Asta, second to last game of the evening. Here we've got an identical formation to the one that that Arsenal just played, and it's been up and down for Dragons. It's entirely plausible though that the 4 teams in front of them don't get 3 points. Then a big win, as we spoke about, will see them leapfrog everyone and cruise into sixth place before the finale. Van Petter's playing tonight. I mean, he's not got the strongest squad, has he, Jamie? I mean, in terms of depth, I mean, when
No,
one
no.
of his
In a word,
players is
no,
injured, then you're going to go, who are you going to bring? I mean, look at his bench. Are you going to bring on Dean Richards?
no, definitely not. Yeah, but that's all the credit to him for getting a tune out of them. I think those three going forward can do damage against any team. Say he struggled with strikers early on the season. If he can get them scoring, and Shearer and Viduka definitely do have that ability to get
Hmm.
goals. He's kind of Giggs has been kind of proven us all wrong at left wing back, and as Ovid probably said, I think we had a bit of chat with Jamie during the week, and he's kind of put him down as one of the players of the season with all the assists he's got. Robbie
Hmm.
Keane, one of the top goal scorers in the league. Yeah, the issue is if he does lose any players, then who's he turn to? Obviously, there's Carragher's not great on the game. Brozek's too young. I can't even think about anyone else he's got in the squad at the minute. So yeah, you mean at home with that team out, he's got a chance.
Dragons 82% to win this, according to Alf. So
Is that from the? That must be from the poll.
I think that's from the poll. That's what I'm
Unless
saying.
Alf,
I think
unless
that's. I
Alf
mean,
just played
I
better.
don't think I'm the only one with multiple accounts here, but we'll see. Astra Athletic lined up in a similar formation, although with slightly different arrows. They're probably hoping to come away with all three points here. And if one of the big boys at the top slip up, obviously they didn't. We've already seen Churchtown and Valen winning, so there's just you left. They could maybe still challenge the top three, but. Well, I'm not entirely sure how that's going to happen. We'll obviously see the last game up tonight. How do you rate Asta's chances? Can he do what he did with Stackington last season and take this Asta side to the title, or is there too many gaps in the squad and in the lineup in general? Have I got this right, by the way? Let's see. I'll let you talk and I'll check.
Yeah. Well, he's got Nesta, who's probably top class in the game. I think he'd be cashing mine back to week 6, week 7, and Astra had won every game, and we
Hmm.
were kind of talking about I mean, we were talking them as dead certs to challenge for the title kind of thing, and obviously I know they went off the boil. Um, they've kind of been up and down since then, but maintained that kind of playoff spot throughout. I think he'll be expecting to challenge.
Hmm.
Um, I don't think anyone will be surprised for him to take a couple of scalps. Um, yeah, I think it's a strong team. I don't think it's on the same playing field as Valen
Hmm.
or as Churchdown when it comes to players.
Hmm.
But he's got some players in there. I think it's Zanetti, Nesta, Emerson, who are absolutely quality
Hmm.
and can do damage. I think it's issues going forward, isn't it?
Yeah, I
It's,
mean his strikers have struggled severely since the start of the season, but we'll see if they can obviously turn that around tonight. Some interesting comments going on here. Dan saying that Keane plus 10 others could be anyone, could be 10 lads from down the park. I'm presuming it's Robbie Keane he's talking about, and I think there was a famous song once, "We all dream of a team of Robbie Keanes." If I remember rightly, there was even a T-shirt. I might have had it, I might not have. I won't say. But yeah, definitely Robbie Keane early on the season has been very influential for Dragons. Fallen off it a little bit, but of course we Duke and has stepped up now. Vicente and MC have the build-up of a disaster according to Andreas, but we'll see. Your predictions for this one? Dragons, can they make the top six? And they would have to win
well,
here.
I hope they do. I really do. I mean, Alf's kind of safe in his position, nothing to play for really. I can't see him breaking into the top two, and the
Hmm.
difference between third and fourth is nothing. So yeah, I really hope Jamie pulls it out there and at least makes it interesting for the last week.
I can hear your Coco commentator, our Coco commentator tonight.
Yeah,
E.G.
I'm
E.G.
thinking that.
Aldred is is getting excited for the big match coming up in a few minutes time. So we'll kick this one off as quick as we can and see how Jamie gets on against Alf tonight. Oh, early goal for Arnold Brugging there. Someone that I might have to change my mind on considering his performances in the Super League so far. Early goal for Asta, taking the lead after just 1 minute. Plenty of chances for Dragons going in the other direction. It's a bit unusual for them. They normally don't have this many chances, and that's not good news. Guardiola injured, as we spoke about earlier. His options are kind of limited on the bench, so we will see Carragher in action. How will Carragher do in the DMC role? Only time will tell.
Oh
Oof,
no, Masterazzi again.
Materazzi with a penalty for the second week in a row. That's a big
Surely
uphill.
he's not his penalty taker.
No, no, I think that's game selected. I don't think Alf has a designated penalty taker. Alan Smith, just as we said, his strikers were struggling. Um, ay, ay,
It's
ay.
all over.
Uh, that's a shocker from the Dragons goalkeeper. They had the
Farini, is it Farini?
yeah.
Absolute
I mean, he's
disaster.
been so solid throughout the season, 750 average, and he chooses tonight to get a four. Um, Yeah, I mean, disappointing for Dragons. I mean, I know it was a long shot, obviously, to get into the playoffs, and I know they're not technically out of it, but this is it's not looking likely now. Let's put it that way.
No, it's a great confidence builder for Astor as well, with some bigger games to come. I
I
know
mean,
we're only halfway through, but I mean, everything they've touched has hit the back of the net so far.
yeah, three shots on target, all three gone in. A four for the keeper. Viduka getting a five, and Vincente not setting the world alight. To be fair, I mean, I'm not saying he's played poorly, but five touches or five passes, three of them complete, and no headers one and a shot off target is not great. It's not great. Um, I mean, good performance all round. A little bit surprising that Placenta is only getting a six on that left-hand side. He's up against Giovanni, the right back for Dragons, which is not the most difficult of opposition you would have thought, but very poor with his passes. Um, I suppose we just got to kick off the second half and see if Dragons can find a way back into this, but it does look unlikely. We'll need one of the famous Robbie Keane hat tricks that he's had earlier on this season. Smart money's going
And
to
then
be
some.
on Asta to take this one home, isn't it?
Yeah, can't see anything different. Yeah.
We'll have a look and see how it starts. I mean, Van Petta is trying his best, but it's not having.
Imagine Jamie Carragher getting a couple of goals. That'd be something special, wouldn't
Yeah, also very unlikely. But
it?
uh, Materazzi being the and Arnold Brooking getting another one. Um, I did
He'll
not
end
see
up
this
being
one
your
coming.
favourite player.
Yeah, I didn't see this one coming at all. I mean, it's a shame for Jamie, especially as I mean, I don't think I think I believed more than he did that he was going to make it, but
Yeah, that's a dominant away performance from Alf. Well done, Alf. Yeah, great victory. Jamie will be gutted. His lads haven't turned up tonight, especially his goalkeeper, because if you look at the stats there, there's not that much difference, is there? There's not that much between them. Except one team scored four, and the
yeah,
other
I
hasn't
mean,
scored. So,
that's got 1-1 written all over it, hasn't it? Really, considering similar amount of passes, Dragons won more tackles, more headers. Um, yeah, they were generally probably the slightly better side, and slightly more physical as well. They just Yeah, that was just it. A three for the goalkeeper. If Midlothian win, top six is set. Then I guess no, not entirely, Andreas, because Hoddesdon and Midlothian were still both on. They were both on 33 points before this evening, I think, if I'm not much mistaken. So if Midlothian win, they're on 36, but Hoddesdon will still be on 33, so they can still technically do something. I think in the last game, I think that's how it is. But we'll double check after the last game, obviously, which we've got coming up shortly. Carini cost his side a potential playoff spot there. I think that's fair to say with
yeah,
a three.
yeah, that's exactly as Andreas just mentioned. What a time to get a three for the keeper. It's
That's
a
shocking,
disaster
isn't
that.
it? That's absolutely shocking.
That's a 2 week fine if I manage him
Yeah,
for poor performance.
two week
Yeah,
fine and definitely not starting the next one. That's for sure. Let's have a look at Astor stats. Vicente does better in second half. No, he doesn't. Well, maybe he does in general, but today he didn't. He did exactly the same as he did in the first half, and he stayed on his seven. Or he managed to win a tackle. I suppose that is technically slightly better. Still surprised with Placenta getting a six. Materazzi getting 2 assists and 2 goals, and 1 goal. That's a good return for a central defender. Brooking man of the match with two, and Alan Smith getting a goal. I suppose that's and 2 assists for Marius Nicolai as well. So I mean, on a cheap background against a shitty goalkeeper, but Alf's gonna be happy with this, huh?
yeah, absolutely over the moon to repeat my
Hmm.
phrase. Yeah, great performance by the players that we were slagging off beforehand, and yeah, good win for him.
Yeah, Materazzi's solid at the back there. I mean, in the last 2 games anyway, or 3 games, he had a five, but generally he's done pretty well recently. So yeah, a lot of confidence taking into the playoffs. And Jens Lehmann, I mean, keeper of the season for sure. In 8 average, I mean, he's the only one that's up there. I think 750 is the closest one maybe. So yeah, they've done well there, Asta.
Yeah,
Right,
100%.
final game of the evening. We have got Midlothian Football Club at home. Crunch time for both sides. Scots needs a win, just a little bit more than the visitors, I think. I mean, you can still do whatever you want, kind of. I mean, Ballon will they win it if you lose tonight? I think they will.
Yes, they will. Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah, they will.
fair enough. Um, yeah, but Midlothian, they're going to Astor in the last game of the season. They've not got the best away form, and Astor are rocking at the moment. So they're gonna have to get 3 points tonight if they're gonna get if they're gonna get into it. What do you make of the lineup? Anything that scares you particularly?
Well, they've got two great strikers, and they've got they've got Harry Kewell and Roberto Carlos. I may have to go quiet, boss man, so because this one's rousing and I don't really want to give too much away. So I'll let you continue. I've managed to get this far, which I'm surprised with. So,
Well, it was perfect comedy timing. Just as about as we were about to introduce your squad, she's obviously waking up to see her dad leading her leading his troops to glory. But I'll let you get on with parenting, and I'll talk us through the rest of this.
have a good evening, lads. See you in a bit.
Oh, guys, we're going out on a high here. Only the best and most elaborate performances that we can find here in the Super League. Thanks very much, Ryan. I'm sure I'll just kill that one, and I'm sure Ryan will follow the rest of the evening on YouTube. Sounds like the baby's a good dribbler. Yeah, yeah, that's a joke. I think maybe not entirely new joke, but yeah, well played, Alf. At least you were first with it. And yeah, big shout out to Ryan and to Elsie and Grace there for their performances this evening. And without further ado, Let's have a look at Midlothian Football Club and what they bring with them tonight. They've got Shea Given in goal, Hoffling Klompe at the back, Roberto Carlos and the new boy Duliaj on the left hand side. A bit of a mixed bag for him so far, but Ian obviously giving him some game time, hoping that he's going to come good next season. We've got Kuhl in midfield, Ramalov in a slightly unusual role. Ian had been experimenting with a couple of guys in this performance, and it had not really gone that well so far. So we've seen Ramalov in that role tonight. We've got back with the run in between Kessman and Impensa up front. Ado, Lampard, and Kellstrom on the bench. So yeah, they could pose problems for Bolton, who've been a little bit form's been a little bit iffy of late, but we'll see how they do tonight. Obviously, they're back in a slightly stronger and more recognizable formation. We've got Iker Casillas in goal. Nick Matulin is out. Yeah, I'm not sure what the problem is, but Isaacson is on the bench. We've got Henshaw and Neville at the back. Gary Neville obviously much better suited to that central defender position than anything he's been able to do down the right hand side. We've got Daly on the left and Sambrata on the right. Two of the very very good fullbacks in the league. Probably among the best. We'll see who makes Team of the Year at the end of the season, but both obviously contenders. Keelan and Sononi in the middle. We've got Raul, Baron, Henri, and Montella up front. And if you bear with me a second, I will double check the positioning of Sinoni and Keel, but I think it's correct. So we'll run with that. Montella been struggling a little bit after a very good start to the season. He has got low morale, although 7 goals in 10, not a bad return. An exciting game coming up, and obviously all to play for these two sides here. Especially Midlothian, they're going to need that win tonight to yeah to have the best chances of securing the playoff spot. We'll kick it off, and we'll see who takes the victory tonight. Good early start for Midlothian, but Phoenix coming straight back at them. Early goal, Henri with goal on 19 minutes there. The Phoenix back to winning ways, perhaps, but there's back with the equaliser. Half an hour played and really tense first half here. Gibbon was backpedaling there and just about managed to push it over. Oof, they just cannot contain Henri at the moment, the Midlothian defence. And there's Raul as well. That three line of three attacking midfielders there proven too hot to handle for Midlothian. Let's have a look at the stats so far. Veron getting a 6, the only kind of poor performance so far, along with Montella. Um, Montella gets to stay on because the results is in his favour. Shea Given having a bit of a howler. Not good, not good. Gonna have to go a little bit drastic here and pull him according to manager's instructions. Underperforming players. Let's have a look at their midfield as well. See who is doing well. Well, there's not really anyone else to drag out of there. It's just they're just up against a very strong Bolton side. It's a tough game. I mean, 25 free kicks and only one yellow to show for it so far. It's a tricky one for Midlothian. They would have hoped for more, but Bolton back to their absolute best with this formation. It's only Figo that's missing out of the really big names, I think. So it was always going to be a big challenge. But we'll kick off the second half and see if Midlothian can get back into it. Let's have a quick look here. No one really stands out. An assist for Zambrata, an assist for Keel, who's I mean, Ryan's kept faith in him and he has come good. Ramalov getting a 7. It's the strikers that are struggling, to be fair, with for Midlothian. We'll see if Kuhl can get the ball up to them in the second half, and if anything will change. Obviously, slightly controversial to change the keeper, but that was according to the instructions. Impensa, the game is still alive, definitely still alive for Midlothian. They've got 5 minutes to find an equaliser, which could prove crucial at the end of the season. Dulash with a cross and a chance, Hencho clearing it. They're still coming forward, Midlothian. Still with the very last kick of the ball. Nope, no goals for Montella either. He did try at the end, but that's not gonna be great for his morale. That he failed to capitalize on that single chance that he had right there at the end. I mean, that's probably the only concern for Bolton, along with obviously conceding 2 goals. But Midlothian, I mean, Edinburgh's a difficult place to come and get 3 points, as many teams have realised this season. But solid performance from them in the second half, just about holding on. Midlothian much improved in the second half, but unfortunately for them, just like in the previous game, we saw the keeper making all the difference in the Yeah, that's the story of the night. All in the race for sixth, bottled it. Um, yeah, that was quite spectacular actually. Roberto Carlos and Dulage doing really well. I mean, you can't really fault them. Perhaps a little bit of a disappointment there. Both strikers only getting a seven and not having that many shots on target, but back getting the nine and getting the goal. Uh, a bit of a struggle for Midlothian there, and a shame for them not to pick up at least a point, considering the pressure they put Bolton on towards the end. But I think if you're looking at the game as a whole, then a deserved win for Bolton Phoenix there. Now it's going to get interesting because we're going to have a look at that what that does to the table. Oh my God. So we've got Valen on 51 points. Valen in their last game play Hoddesdon Hornets away, so they will need at least 1 point. Their goal difference is obviously far superior to anyone else in the league, so a point should secure the first place for them. Bolton, if they have to get a point basically to stay ahead of Churchtown, because I think on goal difference, if they lose, then and Churchtown win, then Churchtown will definitely have a better goal difference. Bolton are at home to Hooligans, so that should be a possible win for them. If you look at Churchtown, they're obviously going to be interested in keeping Astor behind them. They need only a draw for that, but obviously they have to win in order to catch Bolton, so that's what they'll be trying to do at home to Ardsley, which um, yeah, it's possible. Then we've got Asta. Asta play Midlothian at home, and this is where it could get tricky for Midlothian. They are currently in that coveted sixth position, but they are probably going to have to get something away to Asta, and that is going to be tricky. So that's probably going to be the last game up next weekend. We'll see how that pans out. Parmouth and Icos in their last game, of course, they're at home to Dragons, who I mean, they're not out of it because it's only -4 and they're +6 and big defeats and enormous victories. But unless they put like 10 past Parma, then and everyone else loses, then that's probably it for Dragons. So Parma and Icos, yeah, I mean they still need to win to overtake Astor. If they drop points, they can still get third if Churchtown loses. I mean it is that close. Then we've got the the chasing pack of bottle jobs as Parma refers to them. Midlothian, as we've already spoken about, they go to Asta, so that's a tricky one, but they do have the advantage of having the better goal difference, considering that we've got three teams on 33 points. Hoddesdon Hornets, as we spoke about already, they host Valen. That's a tricky one. Midlothian have got a tricky one. Hornets have got a tricky one. Cannons, who lost to Hooligans, drew with Hooligans, they play Sloths at home. Um, but Sloths have found form now. They won with being down to 10 men, but if they struggle away, if Chudley win this one, then they are definitely in pole position, considering the quality of opposition for both Hoddesdon and Midlothian. Don't rule out Hooligans. They're away to Bolton, but stranger things have happened. They could pick up 3 points there, and they could do it. Dragons, yeah, they're going to need a huge win against Parma in order to get up there. Sloths have have escaped the bottom. They're up to 11th now with that victory. Of course, they'll hope to take 3 points against Cannons to get even closer to Dragons. I mean, they can't move further up. 11th is as high as they can go, but they'll probably do that. Do top two have a break? I'll cover that in a second, Alf. Yeah, I'll try to explain it as best as I can. Then we've got Arsley Celtic and BTEC. They've obviously got all to play for. Arsley away to Churchtown. BTEC are away to Swindon in in their attempt to find away points. Swindon Devils, as we just saw there, they're at home to BTEC. Let's have a look at the away record. BTEC, they're going to have their work cut out, but Swindon is a chance for them. Midlothian, interestingly, also without a single win away this season, so tough games coming up for those two guys. If we're looking at the home record, Chudley are at home, but they don't have the best form. Yeah, I mean, what the hell, Kieran? What are you doing? Surprising to see the 11th best home record having qualified and being pretty much near the top of the table. Same with BTEC, they're in fifth if it was on home form only. Midlothian as well, doing very very well on home form only, but clearly not enough to get them into the playoffs. BTEC's at least. We're quite far off the 40 points that Palmer said we would you would need to get into the playoffs. You could get in on 33, but we'll see if it comes to that. Obviously, with the fixtures races coming up. We've got the Midlothian against Asta. We've got Hooligans against Bolton, Chudley here, and Hoddesdon down here. So none of those four sides play each other. So you could theoretically have four defeats and Midlothian still going through on 33 points, which would be shocking. Um, that says more about the state of the middle order. Yeah, it does. It does say a lot about the state of the middle order that they are very, very evenly matched, and everyone can beat each other. I'm going to try and do this. I think Ryan already did a good description in the oh gosh, on the chat, but I'm gonna bring up my calendar in the background and I'm gonna try and run through it. And if I get this wrong, then do feel free to call me out on it. What's gonna happen now? So basically, what happens after the next week, which is obviously the last week, is that we have the elimination round. So we have the elimination round, the first leg, which is all the kind of 3 to 6 place teams playing each other. And then we've got the major semi, which is like 2 weeks later on. So from the last game of the season. So yeah, the top two games get an extra week, and then there's a couple of days in between that. Then we have the minor semi-final and the preliminary final and some other things later on. But yeah, to answer your question, the top two do have a break. They have a 2 week break between the end of the season and the whatever semi-final it is that they play against each other. It's all going to be very, very interesting, I think, and obviously lots to look forward to next week. I'm not sure how the order is going to go because, I mean, you can't say that one game is more exciting than the other. There's something to play for everywhere. I think Palmouth and Icos Dragons, maybe. I mean, Palmouth and Icos still have positions to play for, but everywhere else there's something on the line. So it could really not have worked out any better. Also, let's have a look at the average ratings. Of course, Sambrota is pretty much up there with the best of them. 830 average is pretty spectacular for an outfield player. The same for Cafu and Jogatas. Those wing backs really working well for some people in the league. Not a lot of movement at the top of the table. Got to go in order of the places. So do you want to go first or last, Andreas? You can't just say in order of places. You have got to say highest to lowest or lowest to highest. In order of top scorers, I think it was only really Morientes who moved recently. I think, did he get a goal this evening? Perhaps, or was it Tristan? Start with the teams on 10th, 9th, 6th. Oh yeah, in that way, yeah. No, completely get it. I completely agree. That was the plan. I agree. Andreas has made a valid point there. I will do that. Brugink making a move in the top scorer chart. Where oh yeah, there he is on 12. Ryan's prediction of Montella making the top five is still possible, but only because everyone else has turned into crap really and not scored recently. If we have a look at the assists, Barry Ferguson is head and shoulders above everyone else with the 16 assists and 7 goals in 19 games. His average might not be that high, but that's team of the season, if not player of the season performance so far. Anyway, for him, he's obviously still got at least another 3 games to play, depending on how the playoffs go for Churchtown. Um, I think we'll leave it at that in the interest of time, so I can get the packs out and all this good stuff. I know you guys are excited to get 7.85, not high. It's all right, I guess. I just thought there'd be more players over 8. Either way, I would like to get the packs out as soon as possible. I'm not entirely sure of the schedule due to personal circumstances. I might try and squeeze the last round of fixtures in on Wednesday night. I know it's not ideal to have all the excitement and the last week in a midweek game, but I do have commitments coming up at the end of the month that I cannot change, and we have to finish this in March. There's no two ways about it. Otherwise, it's going to be horrendous and delayed, and people are going to lose interest. So I'm not going to rush it, but I'm going to try and make it as organized as I possibly can. But you'll hear more about that later. With regards to the things that was alluded to in the game engine, yeah, please don't be worried, guys. It just means that I have to do everything manually. I cannot risk going on holidays. I have eventually replayed a couple of days due to a bit of a technical issue. There are some news that pop up that don't really match what has happened in the games, etc., etc. Apparently, it's quite normal when you play with 14 human managers that these things can happen. But as said, I've run 3 seasons on it, and there's been no stability issues. It's just little kind of odd things that crop up here and there, such as player X is thinks it's great to end the 3 match losing streak when you've won 2 of the last 3, and you see the various issues that crop up maybe, but in your packs. But hopefully it'll run fine, and I have got several backups both online and on my own computer. So we shouldn't have any particular sort of risk of loss of data, and the game auto saves as well. And I'll save it now just to make double sure that oh gosh, I need to close down stuff before I can save it. So I'll do that. I'll finish the stream, stop talking, because otherwise I'll go on all night. Thank you very much for tuning in, guys. I hope you enjoyed it. Very, very exciting at the end, and all to play for in the last round. Good night, everyone.